talk, because you were the nice one, the reliable one, the one who always said yes. You were the family peacemaker, the office problem solver, the 24/7 emotional support hotline for all your friends. Your default setting was accommodation. Your currency was your own convenience. So you gave up your own convenience for everyone else, and you spent it freely. You spent it freely on everyone else, and you forgot to give back to yourself. And then one day you woke up and you did something. You did something radical. You said a very small, very reasonable no. Maybe it was, I can't talk on the phone after 10 p.m. anymore. I can't do that anymore. Or maybe it's, I'm not available to babysit this weekend. Or maybe I can no longer take on projects that aren't in my job description. You said it. Yes, you did. You said it calmly. You didn't yell. You didn't make a fuss. You didn't make a scene. And they acted like you just declared war. You were probably just looking at them like, what the hell just happened? Ladies, let me ask you something. Have you ever finally said no? Calm, clear, collected, no yelling? And somebody looked at you like you just cursed out their grandmother. I don't know. You just cussed out their grandmother. You just cussed out their mom. Like, you didn't set a boundary. You committed a crime. You committed a crime. That's how they're looking at you. Has that ever happened? If you've ever been told you're being aggressive, you're threatening, you're threatening me, if you feel it feels like you're threatening me, you're so mean now. You've changed. Drop boundaries in the comment. Drop the word boundaries in the comments, because we're talking about it today. We're unpacking this. Because after 40, we're not confusing self-respect with rudeness. We're not doing that. Not at all. We're not doing that anymore. The same people who happily benefited from your endless flexibility were now looking at you as if your newfound self-respect was a personal attack on them. I mean, I just have to pause when I think about this. They looked at it. Your newfound self-respect was a personal attack, a betrayal, a profound act of violence all of a sudden against them. If you've ever been made to feel like a villain just for protecting your own peace, this one here is for you, because today we're going to break down exactly why the people who were using you panic when you finally build the fence, when you finally put up that boundary, and more importantly, why their panic is the ultimate confirmation. It's confirmation that you're doing the right thing. You are doing something right if they panic. First, I want to get crystal clear. First, I want to get crystal clear on something that users conveniently love to blur. The difference between a boundary and a threat. They are not the same thing. They're absolutely not the same thing. In fact, they're opposites. A boundary and a threat are two ends of the spectrum. A boundary is an act of self-possession. It's a statement about what you will do to keep yourself safe and sane. And we're all allowed to do that. It's an if-then statement where the consequence is about your own actions, right? It's about what you will do. A boundary is intrinsically self-focused. It's not about the other person. It sounds like this, right? Like, if you continue to raise your voice at me, I will end this conversation. It'll be over. If you make critical comments about my parenting, I will have to limit our time together. See how that is focused on you? If you expect me to answer work emails on Sunday, I will not be responding until Monday morning. That's a boundary. That's about what you will do. It's not what you expect them to do. It's not you telling them, don't send you the email on Sunday. The focus is always on the I. You aren't controlling them. You're controlling the access to you. And you're allowed to have control over the access that people get to you. Think of it like drawing a line around your own property and deciding who gets a key and when the gate is open, right? You don't just let everyone into your house, do you? You lock your doors. If someone knocks, you decide if they get to come in or not. It's the same thing with your boundary to self. A threat, on the other hand, is about controlling the other person using fear and punishment. A threat is about what you will do to them. It sounds like this. If you do that again, I'll make you regret it. If you don't listen to me, I'll make your life a living hell. If you leave, you'll never see your friends again. And I have to say, women are infamous for this. If you leave, you'll never see your kids again. Have you heard that before? Because we have to put the puzzles where they fit sometimes, right? Threats are a tool of coercion. Boundaries are a tool of self-preservation. The people who get them confused are often the ones who only valued you when you were a limitless resource to them. When you weren't saying no, when you were always available. They don't see a difference because to them, your limitless availability was their right. They thought they had a right to your availability. And when you revoke that assumed right, they perceive it as a hostile act. They think you're being hostile. But you're not. It's self-preservation for whatever reason that is. It's your right to preserve self, your sanity, and to preserve your self-respect. So why the huge explosion then, right? Why is your calm that doesn't work for me anymore heard as a declaration of war? Why is that? It comes down to a few psychological reasons. There is psychology behind it. There's always psychology, and I will always talk about that psychology. And none of them have to do with you being mean. None of this psychology has anything to do with you being mean. First, you just disrupted their supply chain. Let's be brutally honest here. They were attached to you. They were not attached to you. They were attached to the benefits of you, the benefits they got from your selflessness, from your overgiving. They were addicted to your free labor, your endless patience, your financial bailouts, or your bottomless well of emotional support, right? There's a crisis, they call you, right? They call you to deal with it. You were their unpaid therapist, their on-call assistant, their human tranquilizer. They wreak havoc and they call you to make it better. When you set a boundary, you create a supply chain crisis, right? Think about what's happening in the world now, right? There are boundaries created with tariffs. Creates a crisis. The goods, which are your time, your energy, and your resources, are no longer being delivered on demand. This triggers a psychological panic, a sense of entitlement loss, often seen in narcissistic dynamics. Now, we're not calling anyone narcissistic because we all have some narcissistic traits in us, right? So we're not diagnosing any here, but there are narcissistic dynamics that occur. So when you revoke that access, in their mind, they had a right to that part of you. They felt that you were giving it so much freely and with no boundary that they felt they had access to it. There was no boundary. Your boundary feels like theft. It feels like you stole something from them. So instead of looking inward and thinking, wow, I was really taking advantage of them, they point outward and scream, you're attacking me. It's truly a deflection from the uncomfortable truth that they were using you. Right? In whatever way it was. And sometimes, and I talked about this already, this is not about blame on either side. It's about the dynamic that's created when you overgive. So the second thing that happens is they're confusing their discomfort with your aggression. For someone who has only ever known your compliance, you never said no, right? So now you saying no creates a jarring internal discomfort. They're like, what do you mean? I came to you because it wasn't really, they didn't come to you. They came to you knowing that whatever request they had was going to be fulfilled. They never even imagined that you could say no. And this is related to a psychological principle called cognitive dissonance. Their brain is holding two conflicting ideas. This person has always been accommodating, and this person is now saying no. What's wrong with you? Why are you saying no, right? It has to be something wrong with you because you always said yes. The brain hates that conflict and needs to resolve it, right? Instead of updating their understanding of you as a whole person with your own needs, it's just easier to label you as the problem, right? You are now the problem because you are not accommodating. Your boundary is holding up a mirror to their behavior. The reflection is unflattering, right? It's unflattering to look at yourself and think, oh, wow, I've been taking advantage of that person. So it's easier to say, you are the problem. Because it shows them as demanding or entitled. And instead of thinking, oh, wow, I've been demanding or entitled, which feels painful. So instead of dealing with that pain, they shatter the mirror. They go, bam, no, you are the problem. For showing them the reflection, they blame you. Their discomfort is not abuse. It's not them being abusive either. It's just their emotional immaturity on full display. Their tantrum is not proof of your aggression. No, it's just them putting themselves on full display. It's proof that your boundary is working too. So you have to remember that. When they get mad, your boundary is working. And third, they are witnessing what's called an extinction burst. In psychology, when a previously reinforced behavior is no longer rewarded, the subject will often increase that behavior in a desperate last-ditch attempt to get the reward back. They want you to say yes. So they are going to double down on what they're doing. Think of a vending machine. If you put your money in and your snack doesn't drop, you don't just walk away, right? You don't walk away from the vending machine. You press the button again, harder this time, right? You might even shake the machine. I've seen people kick the machine, right? Because now they're like, wait a minute, I put my money in there. I expect that snack to drop. You have a burst of the old behavior before you finally give up. Always. And this is for everyone. When you set a boundary, you've stopped providing the reward. Whether that's caving to their demands or fixing their problems, you have stopped. Their reaction, the yelling, the guilt tripping, the sudden drama, right? Now there's all types of drama that they need you to attend to. This is called an extinction burst. They are escalating the very behavior you've set a boundary against. But they come harder, right? Hoping it'll work one last time. And this is the most crucial part that you need to understand. The extinction burst is not a sign your boundary is failing. It's the number one sign that it's actually working. They are freaking out now. They're like, what are we gonna do? Like, they're not acquiescing to me. And the reason they're freaking out is because they're realizing the game has changed. It's no longer the same. It is no longer the same. Things have changed. They see it changing and they don't like it. And it's also no coincidence that for so many women, this whole boundary setting journey kicks into high gear after 40 years old. This isn't a midlife crisis. It's a midlife clarification. You are now clarifying who you are, what you want, what you will do and what you will not do, what you will tolerate and what you will not. For decades, many of us have been running on the tend and befriend response, which is linked to hormones that encourage us to keep the peace and put the tribe's needs first. That mothering, that nurturing, the good girl, we're the good girls. We say, when we said yes to avoid conflict, we felt relief. We overgave to feel worthy. But then perimenopause and midlife arrive. Yes, they do. As hormones like estrogen begin to decline, a lot of women report a glorious newfound intolerance for nonsense. We're like, nope, we're not putting up with that. Nope, we don't want to deal with that. And it's confusing to everyone. While there isn't a universally accepted scientific consensus that this hormonal shift directly causes boundary setting, many women find that the patience for being the emotional landfill for the entire family suddenly freaking evaporates. Like, it's gone. Like, you're just like, I call it your give a damn evaporates. And it's not because you are being mean. It's because you are tired. You need to preserve yourself. The energy for shouldering everyone else's responsibilities and things that they need to be taken care for is gone because your body is demanding that you finally use that energy for yourself. The signs are coming in, right? That you're tired, you're falling apart, your heart is racing, all these things are happening, right? You're looking at yourself and saying, oh my gosh, I don't recognize myself. That's your body telling you. This isn't you becoming mean or bitter. This is a self-efficacy awakening. You're realizing on a cellular level that your time and energy are finite, precious resources. You spent decades pouring it out, right? You're pouring yourself out for others, and you're waking up to the fact that your own cup is empty, right? And if you keep pouring out, there won't be any of you left to give to anybody else anyway. Setting boundaries becomes almost an act of survival. As your body systems start to tell you, like, that's enough. The symptoms, the racing heart. It's a way to stop the invisible emotional labor that leads to burnout. Because by the time you get here, a lot of you already burn out. The constant planning, worrying, and accommodating that nobody else even sees. They just expect it, right? They just expect you to show up and expect you to do the work. They're not happy about something. Now it's your job to fix it. When did it become your job to make everybody else happy? It's not. And of course, the people who benefited from your self-abandonment will try to shame you back into line. They will be like, wait a minute. Like, no, like you are not, this is family. This is our friendship. They'll say you've changed with an accusing tone. The correct response is, you're right. I've changed. And it's about damn time that I've changed. It's about time. It's about time that I'm not the same person anymore. Because right now I'm drained. This isn't a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. It's you finally trading in the role of peacekeeper for everyone else for the role of self-keeper, right? You're keeping your own peace, right? You're finally keeping your own peace because you were giving it away a mile a minute. And that is a promotion you have earned at 40. So what happens? You set the boundary. They've launched the counterattack, right? I declare war. Now what? How do you hold the line without losing your mind? And I talk about this a lot, and I'm going to keep talking about it, and I'll bring it in and talk about it in different ways because I think we need to keep hearing this. It's not redundant. So if this sounds like somewhere else in one of my other videos that you heard, it's on purpose. What you need to do at this point is you need to keep it short. Your boundaries should be clear, concise, and non-negotiable, period. No long pleading explanations. You're not delivering a TED Talk on your feelings. You're issuing a clear directive. You're the boss of you. Not of anybody else. Remember, I said this is not an attack on anybody else. This is about what you will do. You are the boss of you. You're issuing a clear directive about your availability. If you speak to me that way, then I am hanging up the phone. Period. End of story. They speak that way, you hang up. Don't jade, justify, argue, defend, or explain. Not necessary. You don't need their permission for your boundary to be valid. It just is because it's your boundary, period. And the next thing you don't want to do, or the next thing is that actually you want to expect the extinction burst and do not engage. When the tantrum starts, the guilt tripping, you just look at them. The accusations, recognize it, right? You could see it. You recognize it for what it is, a desperate attempt to regain control. Your job is not to manage their feelings. Your job is to calmly hold the boundary. Let them have their meltdown. It's okay. Have the meltdown. Don't engage. Imagine yourself as a gray rock. They call it the gray rock method. Uninterested and unmovable. It's not because you're being mean. It's not because you can't see what's happening, but it's not your job to fix their behavior or their reaction. Indifference is kryptonite to a manipulator. When they realize their theatrics have no effect, the show will eventually have to end. What are they gonna do? Like, you're not engaging. You're not moving. You're holding your boundary. Nothing is changing. And the third thing is you want to follow through every single freaking time. A boundary without a consequence is just a suggestion. And I've said this before. If you say you're going to leave when they start yelling, you must leave. The first time you follow through is the hardest, but it's also the most important. It's the action that teaches them you're serious about your boundary. And the consistency and the follow through rewires the relationship. People who respect you will learn to respect your limits. I can't do that. That doesn't suit me. I'm not available. People who don't will reveal that they were only in it for what they could get out of you. And that is, that can be really painful, but it's an incredibly valuable piece of information to have at this point, right? Because once you know that they were only in it for what they could get out of you, you know where you stand in that relationship. And here's a truth you need to anchor yourself to. The people who genuinely love and respect you as a person, they will adjust. They will go through the phase. They will have their little outbursts, right? And then they will adjust. They might be surprised at first, maybe even a little clumsy as they learn the new rules, right? It's going to be hard. They have to navigate around your rules as far as access to you. But they will adapt because why? They value you more than they value your compliance. The people who react with rage, manipulation, and accusations are giving you a gift. Oh yes, it's a gift. They are showing you in no uncertain terms that their affection was conditional. It was contingent on your willingness to abandon yourself for them, for their comfort. Their outrage is not a reflection of your failure. Remember that. If you need to take a paper and write that down as you are maneuvering through this, your outrage is not a reflection of your failure. It's a confession of their own exploitation of your kindness. And I talk about accountability because that's really important because you allowed it. So just remember that too, but you're just changing also. You're not being violent. You're simply refusing to continue setting yourself on fire to keep everybody warm, right? If you've ever set a boundary and been called aggressive or selfish just for ditching your role as the endlessly convenient one, drop "not convenient" in the comments below. Let's see how many of us are in this club. I'll start by dropping the comment first. And if you want a part 2, where we dig into handling the overwhelming guilt, because the guilt will come. The guilt comes with this at first. How to deal with the punishment tactics like the silent treatment. I say personally, it's a good time to get to know yourself. Comment part 2 down there in the comments for me. And I want to thank you for being here. I so appreciate it. I want you to subscribe if you're building a life where your peace is non-negotiable. All right, ladies. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you.